Hi everyone, Barry here from Mitosu. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for joining me for the Stamp Around UK video hop. Today's theme is designer series paper, and the paper I have decided to use is the gorgeous Butterfly Bijou designer series paper. This is available from the 2nd of March until the 3rd of May. And it's a pack of 6x6 designer series paper, and it is absolutely gorgeous. As you can see there, you get lots of designs, lots of different patterns, and you can do so much with it. Okay, it's really, really nice. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So Butterfly Bijou, available until the 3rd of May, or while stocks last. Okay, and I think this is going to go quite quickly. So if you like it, get your hands on it ASAP. It's also part of the Butterfly Brilliance bundle, or the Butterfly Bouquet collection, should I say, which is also includes the Butterfly Brilliance bundle right here. So a lovely big stamp set here with butterflies, and it also coordinates with the butterfly wings dies, which I'm going to show you how to use those later on because it coordinates perfectly with the designer series paper as well. So let's crack on and show you how you can make a nice easy card with your favourite, as in my case, Butterfly Bijou designer series paper. So that's the die which I'm using. So I need a bit of scrap bit of Whisper White, which is going to be able to fit that in like that. All right. And I'm going to be bringing in the amazing blending brushes. So I'm going to be doing a bit of blending, and I'm going to be using Just Jade, and I'm going to be using Magenta Madness like that. Okay. So I'm going to grab my black brush, and I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to ink this up and then blend it through. What I'd recommend you do is you do this first, really before you do the other part, so you can then pop it to one side, allow it to dry, and then go back to the construction of the card, because we're going to be doing a bit of heat embossing on this. And if the ink hasn't completely dried, then you're going to get the embossing powder is going to stick to the wet ink on here. So do this first, pop it to one side, and then go back and then construct the card up. If you've got a bit of time, you can do a couple of these and then just leave them overnight maybe, if you know you want to do this the following day. But just allow it, or use a heat tool, but just give it a bit of time to dry up. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and blend this, and you can watch me do that. You just want to build these colours up, or build the colour up just gradually. So bring it in, tap it off the page, and then bring it in halfway through the paper, because we're going to create an ombre effect. And just slowly build that colour up. Once you've done with one colour, bring in your second colour, and then do exactly the same thing on the opposite side of the paper. And just work over that, the join a little bit as well, just to blend the colours together. And if need be, then just go back over with the opposite colour again as well, just to help blend that in a little bit more. And bring the two together. So there is my blended background for you like that. So I've already gone ahead and I've gone and done one off camera, and I've allowed this to dry now, so you can see that the colours have muted a little bit. So as they've dried, they've got a little bit lighter as well, and that's what we want. I want this to be nice and dry so that when I do the embossing, it doesn't stick to it. So do this first, pop it to one side, let it dry, and then come back to it. Okay, so there we go. So here's the one which I'm going to be working on. What I'm going to do is I am going to grab the sentiment from the You Are Amazing stamp set, so this one right here, and I'm going to be using Hip Hip Hooray, 3 Cheers for You. Really, really like, I'm just loving this set because it's just big and bold and it's amazing. Okay, and I'm just going to be using my stamp apparatus, so I'm going to grab my magnets from here, bring my plate over, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to be using an embossing buddy here, and I'm just going to prime just to take off any extra fingerprint marks which may be on here, and just to dry it off just in case it isn't dry. So if you haven't got an embossing buddy, use some talcum powder, cornstarch or something like that, and that will work for you. I'm going to bring in some Versamark, and I'm just going to ink up. Sometimes it's easy to pop a stamp mat underneath there. I'm just going to ink this up this over. And then just transfer that sticky ink to our bit here. So take this off, and I'm now going to do some embossing. So I'm going to grab some clear embossing powder. And pop this on. Okay. So now I'm not using much of the designer series paper at the moment, but the designer series paper will come in and just finish the whole card off in a moment. We're going to now heat set this, and I'll show you a nice new technique. So there we go. So that has now heat set that, so that has now got a nice clear glassy image on top of that. But what I want to do is I want to do it again. So we're going to pop the ink over that, and we're going to do a double embossing. And we may even do triple. I will see what it looks like. So by doing this 2 or 3 times, you get a real nice glassy look. So what you can do is, if you don't want to do the sponging, you can do some real nice, you can do this on your actual designer series paper. So I have another card at the end, which I'm going to finish off and show you where I've done this technique actually on the designer series paper as well. So we're going to bring this in, and now I'm going to do something which you're probably all going to gasp at the camera. Okay, so this is very similar to the Joseph's technique, Joseph's coat technique. So I'm going to grab myself some Memento ink, and I'm just going to colour the whole thing in. And I will need myself some tissue paper in a second. So did I get myself any tissue? I've got myself some tissue here, and I'm just going to pop this on, and we're just going to colour this whole thing. And this is just the easiest way of doing it. Just get your ink pad on it and scrape it all over the top. Grab yourself some tissue, and then you just want to buff this off. And you're now rubbing the black ink off of the embossing. You're going to need to do this a couple more times because I need to now fill in the gaps in between. So I'm just going to grab this one more time. And we're okay, that's that. And just need to do it down on the for you a little bit more down here. By using this, you're then moving the ink into the gaps it can't reach. So you do it when it's wet. And then it fills in those gaps. And there is a nice image. Okay. So it's time to now cut this out, put my lid back on everything. I'm just going to clear up my table. I'm just going to bring in the Suki, or the Stampin' Up cut and emboss machine, and I am going to now do some die cutting, and I'm going to pop this over and I'm going to die cut this one right here for you. And that is your sentiment done for you like that. Okay, so great. So once you've gone ahead and done that, now we can now think about doing the card. The papers which I have decided to use for this particular card is going to be these two right here. So I really just love this pattern right here, and it's got a nice neutral pattern this side here, and you've got these gorgeous large butterflies, and I just love both sides of this one here, but I'm going to be using the butterflies on this one as much as I love this side here, and it pains me sometimes to have to, when you've got two sides which you like just as much, but I'm going to use the butterflies for this, and I'm going to show you that later on. But this is the one which I'm going to be using first. I've already gone ahead and I've gone and pre-cut my cardstock. So this here is measuring 14.6 centimeters by 21 centimeters, scoring at 10.5 centimeters. And I've gone and cut myself some Coastal Cabana cardstock, which is 8.1 by 12.2 centimeters, which is 3 3/16 by 4 13/16. A bit of black cardstock, which is measuring 7.8 by 11.9, or that is 3 1/16 by 4 11/16. So that is going to go on like that, just like that. And I'm going to cut my designer series paper down to 7.5 centimeters by 11.6 centimeters. So I'm going to decide I want this corner right here because I quite like the contrast which I've got. So I'm going to cut this at 7.5 centimeters, which is 2 15/16 by 11.6 centimeters, which is 4 9/16. Okay. So you can actually make 2 of these cards with these. I've worked it out so you can actually fit 2 of them in, and you'll just get a little bit of wastage at the bottom down there, which I'm sure you can use for something at some other point. Okay. So I am going to stick my black layer to my Coastal Cabana layer. Okay, stick my designer series paper, but before I do my designer series paper, I want to grab myself some of this. This is Pool Party ribbon, so Pool Party sheer ribbon. Okay, and I'm also going to grab myself some of the Magenta Madness in colour 2020-2022 in colour ribbon, and I'm just going to cut myself a little bit of this off. So I want this to go round my designer series paper like that, and then I want to do the same with my Magenta Madness. I have a cut bit of this off here, so I don't want it to go. That's fine. And we're going to use some tear and tape, and what we're going to do is we're going to attach the sheer ribbon first to the designer series paper, going across the centre. And just stick some tear and tape behind, and we'll do the opposite side just to hold that in place. So good. And then with the Magenta Madness ribbon, we're going to use some tear and tape again, because this is a little bit thinner. We can now do this as a double ribbon. All right, so we're going to go around so you've got the sheer ribbon peeking out both sides, and then just pop that on like that, and then do the same at the opposite side just to attach that in place. So just position it, get it nice and straight, hold it and attach. So there we have it. That's another interesting way of using some designer series paper. Now that can then get stuck onto your 2 layers which you've just done. So just glue all the way around this, bit on the ribbon just to hold it in, and then we'll stick this down. So at the moment it doesn't really matter what way around we're doing it, so because the orientation will come when we stick it onto the card. And there we have that gorgeous butterfly bijou designer series paper now matte and layered onto some nice coordinating cardstock. This can now go onto our card base. So fold and burnish. And we can then stick this directly onto the card base, like that. Obviously making sure that the butterflies are going the correct way. And that paper just pops off of that page perfectly. And that's it. Good. So next thing I want to do is I want to pop my sentiment on here. So I'm going to grab myself our Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're just going to pop some of these on the back. Just like this. And then I'm going to show you something else with the designer series paper, which is why it's just so lovely. So stick this on in the center over the top of that ribbon, like that. Okay, so which is good. Lovely. So the next part which we want to do is we want to grab our second bit of designer series paper, which was this one right here. So you can either stop at this point, and this is one place where you can stop, and the designer series paper has done a nice work there with this lovely technique with the sentiment. But with this designer series paper, if you also have with the Butterfly Brilliance bundle, you can also take the the Brilliant Wings dies, and inside here you have got this large die. Okay, and this coordinates perfectly with this designer series paper. So we can now cut out all of these butterflies. So let me just do that for you. And once you've done this, take your plates off, remove your die, and remove all your butterflies. How amazing is that? And this could make a nice stencil. So you could probably, if you cut this down to a nice size, you could, I'm sure, make a stencil with this or do something with this paper as well. So not all is lost there. Okay, so you've got lots of butterflies. Now we're only going to be using a couple here, but it cuts all of them out. So you've got lots which you can do for other cards. And then what we're going to do is just grab one of these, and I think we will just pop a couple of these butterflies around. So either one larger one down here, I think a blue one, because then the background, and then we can have a small one at the top. So we're going to stick this on with some dimensionals. So it matches the height of the sentiment. And then we just pop that on. And I can, if I want to, just grab a little bit of glue and just a little bit on top of this wing here, just so it then sets it permanently. And then that can go down like that, there. And we'll do the same with this one up the top here, but I just need a dimensional on this wing over on this side here. And we're just a little bit of glue here. Like so. So, and that's using a lovely piece of the Butterfly Bijou Designer Series paper, or DSP, as the background, and then using the lovely dies from the Brilliant Wings dies to cut out the butterflies. Okay, and that's how you can use that Designer Series paper. And you've got that nice heat embossing on that sentiment as well, which just helps that pop. So that's card number 1. Now with card number 2, I've gone ahead and prepped most things for you. So I've already gone ahead and I've used a different Designer Series paper for this particular one. And I've just used one layer of the Pool Party sheer ribbon going across the centre here, and I've gone and stuck that together like I did the first card. And that can then get stuck onto our card base. So I'm doing a 10th fold on this one here. It's a 10th fold card. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to stick this down. And same layout, pop it in the middle. I like this big white border. I like that on my cards. I just think it just makes it a bit more of a statement piece. And I've gone ahead, and this here is the same technique as what I did on the first one, but I've done it directly onto Designer Series paper. So if there's a pattern you like for your Designer Series paper as well, which is this one coordinates perfectly with this pattern right here, you can then actually just do the same thing. So you want to do your heat embossing onto your Designer Series paper, colour it in like I did, and then die cut it out. And you can see that it's all done with Designer Series paper once again. So that's something else which you can do with your papers. You don't just have to use it as background. Stamp, I think we forget sometimes to stamp on our Designer Series paper. And it's great. It was actually one of our lovely viewers that reminded us on one of our previous videos when we'd done the Joseph's coat technique like this. Said you can use it on your Designer Series paper. And I thought, of course you can. Completely forgot about it. And that's why I did this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick this on like that. It is a bit more flimsy. So you could, if you wanted to, you could cut another piece of the same shape out of some normal basic white cardstock. And you can then stick it behind before you put these on, just to give it a bit more stability. Or you can just go ahead as it is. And I'm just going to pop that in like that in the centre. And then I'm going to use one of these butterflies here. So now this is one of the butterflies which you would stamp. So as I said, it comes with in part of the suites or the collection or the bundle, Butterfly Brilliance with the Butterfly Wings dies. You can get it, and this comes with this huge stamp. Absolutely amazing stamp. And we just would cut these out, or sorry, we would ink these up. So I'm just going to use Memento, especially if you're going to be doing some colorings with your Stampin' blends. Use your Memento because it works well, stops the bleeding. That sun's just come right in across my table now. Ink that up with your Memento and then pop that down onto that like that. And there we go. I didn't obviously ink that up as well as I could have done, but you get the idea. And that's that one. And then you can then run this through, and then this die then coordinates perfectly with these. So good, so that's that one. And obviously I had one which I coloured, here's one I coloured earlier on, which I did, but for some reason I've now gone and lost it. There it is. So I stamped out previously and coloured, so allow the ink to dry off a little bit before you colour it. And we're going to use some of the Stampin' Dimensionals one more time. Pop a Stampin' Dimensional at the base of these wings, like that. And I'm going to pop him or her down here. So there we go. that side, just have them flying in. So we're just going to do one butterfly on this one. And then if you really finish it off, you can take it a little bit further. You can use some embellishments. So I'm really mixing my sweets here. And I'm going to be using the Elegant Faceted Gems for this. And I'm just going to just pick up one here. And we're just going to pop some of these around. Just to give that a little bit of interest. And I like the clearness of these. They don't overpower the card, but they just give a little bit of bling on there if you want to. So what do you think? Do you like card number 2 and card number 1? Beautiful. Lovely. Okay, be sure to remember to check out the rest of the hop down below. Links can be found down below in the description. Have a little look at what the rest of the design team have made with their favourite designer series paper. Thank you again for watching, and we will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now. Bye.